Previously on The Devil on G-String. Sister. And so it continues. Greetings, my name is Neosekken, and welcome back to my Let's Play of The Devil on G-String. Hey, Kyosuke! First chance you get, give your poor sister a hug. She needs it. Her life is kind of shit. The 26th of December. Aw, we've skipped Christmas. The match that would decide Kanon's future as an athlete was about to begin. She didn't come home until early in the morning.
Tadaima, Nisa.
When she did, she bore a somewhat grand expression.
昨日は迷惑かけたね。
I don't know what happened, but she seemed to be lively enough. Don't worry about it. I'm used to dealing with cops. You know me, always up to no good.
お母さんももう大丈夫だよ。
Huh?
大した怪我じゃなくて本当に良かったよ。お母さん、私をかばってくれたんだよね。
I almost shouted, "Are you kidding?" According to police reports, there was no evidence that Ikuko-san ever came into contact with a sports car. I still have no idea how she could have hit her head.
だって、私を突き飛ばしてくれたもん。かばってくれたんだよ。お母さんなりに。
I see. I suppose this is one of those rare points in life where the ends justify the means. Who am I to complain if it got Kanon to start calling Kuko-san Mom?
兄さんにもいろいろ迷惑かけたね。それを言いに帰ってきたの。
More like 69. Are you alright, Kanon? She was strangely meek.
兄さんがいなか
I'm
った
sorry,
ら
that was a bad joke.
のんちゃん終わってたと思う。
No, I didn't do anything.
いつもわがまま聞いてくれた。辛い時に抱きしめてくれた。私に代わって瀬田さんに謝ってくれた。
So?
お詫びに今日は最高の演技を見せるね。
In return? To think Kanon would say such a thing. Well, I won't ask why. Just make sure to keep your word, okay?
当たり前だよ。
It's been too long since I last saw Kanon's radiant smile. She must have found some sort of peace. A crowd of reporters who've heard about yesterday's incident run to meet the car as it pulls up to the curb and lets Kanon out.
カノンさん、お母様が大変な目に遭われたそうですが。
Go die in a ditch. He speaks without even feigned concern, as microphones and cameras are thrust at Kanon.
大事ありません。
Kanon replies boldly. She stares down the cameras without hesitation.
午後には退院して私の演技を見に来てくれます。私は母のため今までで一番芸術的な演技を皆さんの前でお見せします。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
The reporters all stood dumbfounded, leaving an empty pause clearly unfit for live television. Kanon lifted her chin high and disappeared through the staff entrance. I just love seeing their jobs get harder and harder. The long-awaited ladies' free skate begins at 6:30. When I arrived at the arena at 1 o'clock, the ice dancing and pair skating matches were already underway.
おや、あざりさんじゃないですか。
Usami! There you are!
ああ、京介。
I suddenly ran to Eiichi and Usami. Usami, I thought I'd finally gotten rid of you. How'd you manage to get a ticket?
全国大会はファイナルほど混雑しないみたいでしてね。徹夜で並んで当日券ゲットしました。
Dedicated as always. As disgusting as ever, I see. Fuck you!
私の仲間その2の最後の戦いとなれば応援せねばならんでしょ。
This won't be her final battle, I can promise you that.
すみません。まだ始まってもいませんでしたね。
Sounds like someone from a movie trailer, but alright. If you're gonna say final, at least save it for the Olympics. Usami nodded.
椿も6時には来るって。
私のデザインしたクソ可愛い垂れ幕持ってきますよ。
Show me.
昨日みんなで作ったんだよ。
Whoa, you guys are shamelessly cheesy. And you are just shameless!
いえいえ、浅井さんも昨日一瞬だけテレビに映ってましたよ。手を引いてマスコミからカノンを守る姿とか、かなり熱かったっす。
I know, it's one of Kyosuke's rare human moments. Oh, shut up. Just go sit down, will you? I wave them away with my hand.
おめえがホテルの予約キャンセルしたおかげで、親父にクソ怒られたわ。
I'm sure it was beautiful. Eiichi never forgets to complain. Sometimes he forgets to say bye, but he never forgets to complain. Well, at least his memory's working on something. Talk about a bunch of numbskulls. Well, you know what they say, Kyosuke. Birds of a feather flock together. Still, Kanon would be happy. I wish we could let her know that her friends have come to watch her. I had a light meal before the ladies' singles started. In the packed corridor of the arena, I see a man horribly out of place among this everyday scenery. Is it Mr. Grinch? Yep, it's Mr. Grinch. Well, I'll be. Did you have a sudden change of heart, Father? Gonzo appears out from the crowd of Yakuza around him.
俺の血の一部がどういった死に様を見せるのか気になってな。
Supportive parenting as always. That grammatically does not make any sense. What the fuck am I saying? Meet her end?
今日負ければあれは終わりだ。
Oh. Yes, of course.
もう何の富も生み出さぬガラクタになり下がる。
Didn't really stop you from treating her like garbage before all this, though. Naturally. All the major sponsors cut their contracts with Kanon. With Kanon's current image, she'll be of no further use to the Soniyama group financially. She'll lose her backing and her career. I gaze into Gonzo's cold eyes. Your prediction for today's outcome isn't very fatherly. A strange light runs through those brutal eyes. I pay no heed to it, and spit out with a hint of challenge. My girl is your daughter, you know. There's no way she can lose. He laughs deeply as he stares me down in delight.
勝てるのか。
Yup.
すでに1位の三能物産の犬と15点もの大差をつけられているが、
That won't stop Kanon.
構成点では負け、技術点すらほぼ互角だが。
Well, Seta has traditionally dominated performance execution and interpretation components. I suppose it's true that her jumps have been catching up with Kanon's recently.
今日は違うというのだな。
She still has a few tricks up her sleeve.
自力でも人気でも劣るカノンが勝てると。
The more people say she can't do it, the more important it is for me to have faith in her. Gonzo nods with a condescending smile plastered on his lips.
京介、お前も俺にへつらうだけの家畜かと思っていたが。
I'm glad that I exceeded your expectations.
初めて意見が分かれたな。
The monster turns his back to me. The arena was packed with hustle and bustle. I have half a mind to worry that the commotion will melt the rink's ice. Everyone's here to see the new idol, Makiko. I look around and see hundreds of signs cheering for Seita. I sit down, and the group practice before the competition starts. There is still no sign of Kanon, who is scheduled to go last. I suddenly feel a presence behind my head.
ここいいですか?
Only if you acknowledge me as king. A voice I never heard called out to me. Oh, Ikuko-san? She was almost like a ghost. Hollow eyes, shaky legs. What's wrong? Shouldn't he be over in the staff seating? She shakes her head.
私はコーチでも何でもありませんから。
I look at her ticket. Seating for relatives, right next to mine. Are you feeling all right?
ええ。
She murmurs as she hobbles over to her seat. She's a terribly eerie sight. She already was before this, man. I mean, don't kid yourself. It would be an understatement to say that she merely looks possessed. With a face like a corpse, she stares into empty space.
ねえ、知ってた？カノンちゃん、泣いていたの。ずっと。心で泣いて、それでも母親に尽くしてくれていたの。衣装も、フリーのプログラムも、クリスマスも、みんな私に捧げてくれてたの。知ってた？ねえ、知ってた？
She asks this, muttering. Did you? Did you? Did you? I honestly can't say that I did. All this time I've lived as a slave to money, seeing my sister as nothing but a tool.
一番になるって。
The apparition mutters again. With just a small push, she would hang herself.
哀れな母親のために自分だけが一番になってあげるって。私も嫌われ者だからって明るく笑ってたのよ。
When people are sad enough, they forget to cry.
嫌われ者だからって笑って。
I couldn't find a reply. The words wouldn't come. I wouldn't know what to say here either, man, so don't feel too bad. The only person in this world who could have sympathized with this woman, who could have reached out for her with compassion, the only one who could have been this woman's savior was Kanon. I see. Kanon. I smile wryly. You really are the king. You're sitting on a rare tiny country's throne. You done well. Now hurry and come out. Show them. Show them your wish for your mother. Seita Makiko's free skate came before Kanon's, and it was nothing less than dignifying. The entire audience was galvanized by the time she had finished. Her score was announced. It was just shy of a monogamous 200 points. So grand was the applause that it seemed like the spectators' very lives depended on the clapping. Bouquets of flowers were tossed into the rink, and young girls on skates collected them. The new heroine of the ice, Seita, took her exit, and the arena quieted down. A gloomy, unpleasant silence followed. And then the announcement came. Kanon's turn. Coach Hilton had proposed that she abstain. Shortly before the match, During practice, her right ankle started to feel a bit odd. It wasn't a sprain or anything like that. However, as she used her right foot as a pivot to spin, pain steadily gnawed at her nerves. It was most likely a result of twisting when Ikuko pushed her away from the car yesterday evening. Her stamina was also a concern. She didn't exactly sleep well last night. The 4-minute free skate demands quite a bit of stamina. Even Kanon, who ran 3 miles around the arena every day, often got headaches from lack of oxygen after her performance. The audience's reaction to her appearance was cold. The maelstrom of applause was something entirely of the past. Now Kanon suffered a downpour of glances filled with disdain and scorn. Their eyes were dripping with malice and bore the look of wolves eagerly, excitedly awaiting a feast with anticipation. If this were in Japan, the arena would have long been filled with booing by now. As Kanon skated out to the center of the rink, she calmly analyzed her own situation. If she loses, it's all over. Forget about the Olympics. She won't even make it to Worlds. She's already caused such a stir. She may be deserted by the union, or even stripped of her federal scholarship. But what about her mother? Kanon recognized that there was something strange about her last night. Her madness was akin to being thrown overboard from an already capsized ship into an ocean of sin. If Kanon loses this competition, Ikuko will likely lose her mind. Her pulse hastened, and her skin was attacked by a throbbing sense of fear. The stagnant, chilly air crossed horrifically with the stifling silence. Standing alone in the center of the gleaming ice, Kanon couldn't help but feel concerned. But at the same time, she thought about whose fault it was that had come to this. There's no need to think. Kanon came to a decision. The music will begin soon. While entering her initial pose, Kanon slowly closed her eyes. She decided in an instant. Her anxiety about her right ankle, her fatigue from lack of sleep, her pulse so violent that she could hear it. Everything. She drove everything from her mind. She decided to offer up a prayer. She placed this prayer of gratitude and love alongside this famous piece. Kanon's songs my mother taught me. As a beautiful melody flowed from the piano, Kanon turned aside and sprang into action. Kanon attuned herself to the opening of the piece and thought only of her mother. Her foolish, helpless mother. She raised her head and looked up toward the sky. As she skated, she filled her chest with wishes and desires. The first jump was rapidly approaching. She made an approach run all the way to the wall and concentrated the entirety of her focus into the tip of her left outside edge. Double axel. As the piano sent a chord spinning loudly through the arena, Kanon launched into the air. She made 2 effortless rotations while airborne and landed facing backwards. For someone like Kanon, who can make 2.5 or even 3 rotations, it was much like a warm-up. Or so she thought. She had made light of it in her arrogance. A dull pain shot through her right ankle. She thought of it as an appropriate punishment, and silently endured it. She skated gently, softly over the ice, as if to avoid waking her sleeping mother, as if to protect the eternal sleep her mother had endured since her father had abandoned them. Her execution was flawless. Nevertheless, the applause was sparse, like praising sprung from obligation. But that was the best Kanon could hope for. Who would clap for a girl like her? Hers was the story of a petty mother and a selfish daughter. One could even call it repulsive. Kanon simply apologized in her heart. While performing a graceful step sequence, Kanon addressed her mother. "Hey, Mom. I'm about to do the combination jump we used to practice together." The first time Kanon had been able to successfully land a Lutz, her mother cried her eyes out. In the moment that followed, the Lutz that Kanon had intended to cut ties with the other day came back to her. As she skated into the jump, she begged her right leg for cooperation. "There's no helping it, Kanon-chan. You really are so spoiled." She heard her mother's voice, and it materialized as a 3-rotation combination jump. The ice shavings glittered like rhinestones near Kanon's feet. "We can always make more money, Kanon-chan." She skated forward again, this time drawing near to the judges, and slightly shook her head for a reason only she could possibly understand. Money. Kanon executed a combination spin before the judge panel. She leaned on one edge and spun at high speeds, drawing a circle in the ice, all the while shifting her posture and position, readjusting her balance each time. Mom should pay more attention to her spending. While giving thanks in her mind to the judges who work on meager salaries, Kanon ever so naturally demonstrated a very vivid Y-spin. "Alright, Mom." Her right ankle was strained from the spin, and it cried out in pain. "Mom. It's coming up next. Watch closely." She focused her concentration once more onto a technique that was considered impossible for women in Ikuko's skating days. She had no choice but to do it. It was the only way to win. Not against Seda. Against herself. It was the only way to defeat a girl who had been spoiled by her mother from birth. That triple jump? I forget what it's called exactly. As Kanon was being spoiled, Kanon was also spoiling her mother. While gliding backwards, Kanon nailed her toe pick into the ice, violently, as if scolding her mother. This is where her submitted program had listed a triple. It was at that moment. A thunderous roar shook the arena. Kanon's solo jump was high enough to pierce the heavens. The moment she launched into the air, the tranquility which had reigned up to that point vanished, and ferocity filled the emotional vacancy in the air.
4回転トーループ?
Quadruple? Damn. Toe loops are considered rather simple among all the jumps. But if you're talking about a quad, then it's a completely different story. It's considered more difficult than even the triple axel, that's what it was called, which only a handful of women can do in the entire world. It's also worth more points than 2 triple toe loops combined.
4回転はやるなって。
Ikuko-sen spoke from my side in a shaky voice.
やるなって言ってたの。私が足腰に負担がかかるからって、やらなくても十分勝てるからって、そうやって甘やかしてたの。
I had no words. What a girl. Skaters are free to make changes to their program before or even during the performance. But in most cases, that simply involved reducing triple jumps to doubles, for sure or safer points. No successful 4 revolution jump has ever been landed in an official match by a woman. And it's about to, right? Are we about to witness history? Kanon had set her mind on perfection in this, the 11th hour. She intends to win. And points were not the only thing that Kanon had attained. Wild, feral, torrential voices of astonishment fell onto the ice.
すっげえ。なんか違わないか。あ、いつものフリーと全然違う。気持ちが入ってるっていうか、別人じゃん。あれ、本当に浅井カノンか？
The atmosphere had changed. I was proud. My sister had shown me the world's first execution of this incredible maneuver. Kanon had just finished her 3-jump combination. Double axel, double loop, double loop. That leaves just one last jump. The second half of the performance was rapidly approaching. She earnestly endured the pain of her injury while wearing an affectionate smile. It hurts. Her miraculous quad jump sent a shock all the way to her hips. She had pushed it with a bit with that technique. Her knees creaked in a nearly dizzying, throbbing pain. It was a mystery how her right ankle still managed to glide over the ice. Even still, I must answer to this applause. Up until now, Kanon had practically ignored the audience. She had thought of them as nothing more than an ignorant bunch that would just fall all over her after she showed them some difficult maneuver. But they were pure. They put forth a decent amount of money to witness today's event out of nothing but a love for skating. If that wasn't the case, then how else would you explain these grand cheers? Despite how much they hate me, they're still sending me such warm shouts. Kanon almost cried for the urge to apologize to the audience. It was miserable. But in the place of tears, she wore a smile and held her chin high in pride. As long as this 100 by 200 foot ice rink is here, Kanon will strain her utmost strength in order to satisfy them as a figure skater. Just then, though she had known beforehand which seat her brother would be in, it was still quite fortuitous. In the middle of a straight line step sequence, she caught a glimpse of her mother in the stands for an instant. Songs my mother taught me, in the days long vanished. Seldom from her eyelids were the teardrops banished. The program was Songs My Mother Taught Me. This was the musical selection that had caused such a stir during the NHK trophy in the finals. The piece we had all thought could never complement Azai Kanon. A non-vocal arrangement of Vorak's tune flowed over the ice. The theme of this piece is, very simply, gratitude towards one's mother. The mother rubbed her hands together and sobbed for her daughter. As if reciting some prayer, she cried in a subdued voice. The mother, a woman who had become an empty husk, mustered all of her spirit to dedicate a prayer. There was no doubt that Kanon was suffering on the ice from that quad jump. Only she never broke her smile. She showed not a single shard of weakness. Kanon expressed her gratitude for her mother with her facial expression, her toe pick, and everything in between.
Kanon-chan. Kanon-chan.
All right, Kanon. Your last jump is waiting. I learned something from my studying. Jumps performed in the second half are worth 10% more points. One's stamina has begun to wear out, so doing anything impressive late in the program is a harsh feat. Only the king would even dream of pulling off what she's about to do. Go for it, Kanon. Bring the triple axel, the flower of skating, into the heat of the finale. The tension caused me to bite my lip. Hang in there, Kanon. The arena was dazzling. Kanon's consciousness was already faint. By now, one could say her body was just performing on its own. Why? How is it that she's still standing? How can she still be performing this high-level flying spin combination so happily? World spun like a top.
もうスケートやめたい。
一体どうしたのカノンちゃん。
だってつまんないんだもん。
どうして？この前の競技会も勝ったじゃない？
勝っても楽しくない。楽しいのはお母さんだけ。
お母さんが楽しいのはダメなの？
え？
お母さんとっても嬉しいのよ。
だってお母さん自分が自慢したいだけだもん。
自慢しちゃダメ？
それは。
カノンちゃん、これから先ね。カノンちゃんが有名になったらもっともっといろんな人が自慢したがるわよ。
そうなの？
私もそうだったの。大会の偉い人、偉い人の親戚、会社の人、みんなカノンちゃんを自分のために利用するわよ。
だったらなおさらやだ。
それでもそれだけじゃないのよ。
意味わかんない。
じゃあ意味がわかるまで続けてみたら？
何それ？
さあ練習しましょ。
もういいよ。お母さんには何言っても無駄だね。
I'm basically Kanon in this exchange too. I'd have the exact same reaction. She finally understood. A moment ago, she happened to glance at a sign among the spectators. There was a disgusting-looking penguin drawn on it. Poor Usami. Kanon thinks her sign is disgusting. It's okay, Usami. I'm sure that it is Michelangelo levels of good. Someone with long, disheveled hair had taken advantage of the loud applause to stand up and shout. She discovered the sight of her mother shedding tears. During her step sequence, the spectators sent to her applause in tempo with the music. Her 4 minutes were nearly up, and her program was coming to an end. She had no regrets. Even if she had done so begrudgingly, Kanon was happy that she kept skating. Even if she was just the object of her mother's vicarious lifestyle, even if she was enabling the greed of her sponsors, the applause right here, in this crowded arena, was the real thing. The piece was drawing to a close. Her eyes were moist and her tears fell, glittering in the light. While crying with a smile, Kanon put her all into the last launch. She leapt. Kicking away the person she had been until now, she jumped toward her mother. Eventually, I too will become a mother. And when I teach my child this song, teach each melodious measure, the tears will oft, just like my mother's, flow from my memory's treasure. I couldn't stop my trembling. There was a stifling silence. In those 4 short minutes, the musical selection had been filled to the brim with soul. After finishing her performance, Kanon took a brilliant final pose. She spread her arms out to the heavens and stood stone still, like a statue. Even from back here, I could tell she was crying. Suddenly, the ground shook. Kanon was bathed in cheers and applause so feverish that the ice itself seemed to shake. People stood with amazement on their faces, clapping to the limits of their strength. Not a single person shirked her standing ovation. No, wait. There was one. Only one other person stood unmoving, like Kanon. She was almost like an infant. At this very moment, something had clearly been reborn within Ikuko scene. I, too, was uncharacteristically unable to suppress my feelings. It really was exactly like songs my mother taught me. Kanon's perfect, genuine expression had left the audience even more enamored. Kanon, is this colossal ovation reaching you? Or have you already exhausted all of your strength and lost consciousness? Just as I was thinking that, without being able to thank the spectators or grab hold of Coach Hilton, Kanon crumpled to the ice. I suppose it wasn't exactly a surprise for her to pass out like that. Tension and urgency ran through the arena. Everyone shouted out in concern for Kanon's well-being. Kanon! Kanon-chan! Kanon! Then, faster than I could run to the gate at the bottom of the stairs, the silhouette of someone rushing out crashed through it. She screamed like a newborn fresh from the womb as she jumped onto the ice. Of course, with the low friction, she wasn't able to approach steadily. She fell and clumsily hit her head. But not a single person laughed. She struggled her way to her daughter. The one to embrace Kanon without delay was neither Coach Hilton nor the ringside medic. The audience was boisterous at the sudden commotion, but the entire arena eventually filled with warm applause. Kanon left the rink, supported by her mother. The scores were a bit delayed, probably because of Kanon's collapse. The drawn-out tension was nauseating. The kiss and cry was visible on the arena's jumbotron. Kanon was gloomy. Yep, that's a gloomer, all right. She looked vacant. She didn't approach Hilton as he stood near her. She seemed to entirely forget his existence. The arena's attention was poured entirely into the announcing of the scores for her tremendous performance. There were no misses in Kanon's performance. Even the top skaters in the world tend to make one or two misses during the long free skate. Minimizing the resulting penalties is key to victory. Some people sitting around me who seemed to be skating experts were also clamoring about Kanon's flawless performance. Plus, it was a program of the highest difficulty. It had true triples in a row, and triple axel in the second half. Kanon even demonstrated the feat of the quad. Her Achilles heel, musical interpretation and performance and execution were also quite a different story from her usual. Just watching Kanon's free skate performance had already convinced everyone that her score would far exceed Seida's.
あのクアドラブルで基礎点プラス5だろ。
ああ、最後のトリプルも加点されてんだろ。
スピンは全部レベル4だと思うし、こりゃひっくり返ったな。
間違いねえ。200点超えるぞ。
I agree. Summed with yesterday's short program, she'll exceed 200 points. Just then, the long-anticipated announcement came. The applause settled.
朝日さんの得点
The announcement continued on next in English. There was a moment of tension. Kanon was still in a daze. The announcement seemed to last an eternity. The arena tried to endure the tension of applause. The applause grew silent like a wave.
77.42
At that moment, the wall was wrapped in marveling voices that led to a rumble in the ground. Kanon didn't move an inch. It was a terrific score. She exceeded Seida's technical score by over 10 points. I was thrown along with the atmosphere and cheered some myself. Alright, next is her program component score. Everything is decided by the sum of the technical and program component scores.
プログラム構成点
Please.
61.21 フリースケーティングの得点 138.63
As Kanon's personal best had just been updated, the total score was reported. It was drowned out by the loud cheering, and even the booming announcer's voice seemed to be far away. But the next moment, I rose from my seat.
総合第1位です
Kanon made a comeback victory over Seida by 1 point. A slight trickle of tears ran down her cheek. She had a kind, relieved sort of smile. The arena overflowed with an unprecedented ovation, blessing Kanon. My hands sweat, and I finally take a breath. What a girl. The H and the rest suddenly run to meet me.
やってくれたのやってくれたのすごいよ本当涙出てきちゃう
Everyone jumped around in celebration.
いやよフルちゃんは分かってたぜどう考えてもカノンが勝つってな
得点が発表されるまで死にそうな顔してましたよね。
まあまあ
No, never cut him slack. It is what he deserves. The whole audience was as excited as these three. Some people were even moved to tears. Oh, hey, Daddy! I won my bet! Suck it! As Gonzo appeared, wearing an undiscerning expression. How about that, Father? He lets out a faint smile. I think that is possibly the nicest thing I've ever heard you say about anyone ever. He says these words and laughs loudly. I defeated Gonzo. It feels pretty good, honestly. Second victory over you now, buddy. You're laughing out of happiness, right? Gonzo shook his head like he was enjoying himself. Huh? What? What are you talking about? The scores have already been announced. What could possibly... Gonzo interrupts my words. I see the anger in his eyes. He frees up. It wasn't the female announcer from earlier. A stream of unrest flowed through the atmosphere. What the hell is going on? A man was suddenly on the intercom, introducing himself as a tournament executive. Oh, great! Executive interference? Oh, how convenient! a computer glitch. I realize my face is going pale.
再度採点した結果、浅井カノン選手の技術点の修正を余儀なくされたことをここにお伝えいたします。正式な得点は 75.12 との審判団の結論が出ました。
Oh man, I'm feeling anger now. She went down over 2 points. Wait, that means the difference of 1 point between her and Seda.
従いまして、プログラム構成点も
For once, I agree with this mortal. Fuck that! At Aichi's shout, the arena fills with unprecedented chaos. There was shouting and cursing everywhere. The spectators start throwing things onto the ice, and the security guards try to calm the crowd down.
皆様にはご理解いただきますよ。何卒
The Aichi started kicking up a fuss with bloodshot eyes.
マジありえねえから2点も減るとかこれ絶対不正だから。
Cheating? Are you saying there's someone manipulating the score?
間違いねえよ。今から配られるスコア見てくる。絶対どっかのスピンかステップのレベルが下げられてる。
I can believe it. The Aichi took off. Gonzo spoke up calmly.
というわけだ、京介。
So yeah, basically, when a result doesn't go your way, you cheat. That's how it goes, huh, Daddy? Hell of a life lesson to learn. Why? I still couldn't believe it. But wasn't the new system supposed to make it hard for judges to rig the scores?
いくら制度が変わろうと、そこに人の手が加われば、いくらでも不正は起こる。
I hate to agree with you, but there's no way I can. Disagree, I mean. The arena was filled with nearly slanderous suspicion.
レベル3だ。嘘だろ？あの Y 字が？
Apparently, a level 4 spin had been reduced 1 level. There were also several other suspicious points. The technical executive has the key role of watching in slow motion and assigning a base point value to each element.
そうだな。
I heard they were accompanied by experienced judges and coaches. Hell, supposedly 2 people are paid just to watch him do his job.
それがどうした？
Gonzo held onto his calm to the very end. Ridiculous. They're obliged to leave the judged video behind as evidence, aren't they?
だから、機械が壊れただのとほざいたのだ。
My eyes darkened in despair. But the media should have captured the performance with their cameras too. Just that should be enough to, and you don't think that's going to be subject to malicious editing?
たとえ全ての日本人が不正を訴えたとしても、審判団の決定は絶対だ。
I had nothing left to say.
今は審採点方式への移行が始まったばかり。カスどもの言い訳はいくらでもある。
So essentially, the truth will remain hazy.
カノンちゃん、そんなひどいよ。
Tsubaki slumped against the wall, crying. Usami also wore a sharp look, as if trying to endure something. The spectators' eyes suddenly focused on the skating rink.
お願いします。
Seda Makihito was... Makiko, excuse me, was shouting from the ice.
もう一度正確な採点をお願いします。
Kanon's rival pleaded in the direction of the official seats, disregarding her own position. Even the participants' eyes, the judging was way too strange. Kanon. I mutter in shock.
京介 俺は帰るぞ。
Leaving so soon? Eiji's face strains in anger.
決まってんだろうが。今から世界中のありとあらゆる掲示板に爆撃を行う。
Don't see what that's gonna do, but go for it. Are you a flippin' idiot? Just give it a rest. My feeble voice is shaking away.
カノンがかわいそうだろうが。
Eiichi had begun to tear up, and I couldn't stop him. What he's going to do isn't praiseworthy, but I understand his feelings. I wanted to run to the staff room and wring the necks of the bastards behind this. I clenched my fists in anger as I desperately tried to keep it from exploding out my lips. Because...
浅井さん、今のお気持ちを。
How do you think she feels, you twat? Camera flashes bathe Kanon, who stands dumbfounded.
結果2位ということですが。
The reporters know instinctively that it was a setup.
納得されていらっしゃいますか？
She looked soulless. Kanon's magnificent performance, her wishes for her mother, weren't rewarded. Kanon emotionlessly shook her head.
一言だけいいでしょうか。
The crowd of paparazzi gathered around her in anticipation.
私、バカで、何言うかわからないんですけど、一言だけ。
Fuck you? The one impacting statement of figure skating's #1 troublemaker. A tear slides down Kanon's cheek.
私が、未熟だから、負けたんです。
It was obviously a setup. The whole of Japan thinks so. Aren't you suspicious? Aren't you upset that you lost this fateful career-deciding match? Kanon forces a smile.
皆さん、申し訳ありませんでした。私が悪いんです。私が弱いから、得点が伸びなかったんです。
Then, Kanon bowed.
5000円、ありがとうございました。
She's not at fault, yet she pleads for forgiveness. I bite my lip and watch that sad, sad girl. I want to scream. I feel your pain. How can you stand by and let this happen? You're being used again! You gave an amazing performance, and you're being betrayed again! Kanon. God, Kanon! I feel completely helpless, and nearly break down into tears. But I too should suppress this feeling of humiliation. Kanon is bowing down, apologizing and thanking people like that. She's subduing her despair and desperately holding it in.
瀬田さん、どうもありがとう。そして、ごめんなさい。
Her nearly sobbing voice carried throughout the building. That spectacle struck a chord with everyone present. The spectators, who had come dangerously close to a rioting mob, calmed down.
皆さん、今日は本当にありがとうございました。
She continued to bow her head as tears dripped to the ground. It was just too dazzling. The sight bore the sort of dignity that overwhelms those in its presence. Even if she did lose the match, Kanon may have gained something far more precious. And now that something has transformed into tears, making her cold body shine all the more radiantly in the spotlight. A bunch of fucking cock-sucking bullshit. Kanon started coming to school again after New Year's. Oh, God. You dressing in this ghost getup again. Could you at least try to wear something different once in a while? Alright, the time has come for another one of God's after-school consultation sessions.
Oh! Oh!
Oh, hey, Kanon. Today's guest is the popular figure skater, Azai Kanon-san.
拍手わー
So, what's on your mind, Kanon-san?
どんなかな？兄がいるんですけど、なんかとっても怪しいんです。
どう怪しいの？
いつもパソコンしながら電話して、たまにふらーっと夜いなくなるんです。
女でもできたんじゃないの？
それはないと思うな。
なんで？
だって兄さんは、のんちゃんのこと好きだもん。
Blah!
おー。なんか怪しげな密談みたいのしてるの。
Maybe that bub was a little
お
too
金の話
intense.
してるみたい。すっごい怖い声で。
一度聞いてみればいいんじゃない？
聞いた。そしたらゲームしてるとか言う。夜はダンスしに行ってるとか言う。
Well, if he has a laptop, he could do both at once, I'm sure. After all, he is my avatar.
ダンス？
ヒップホップとか言ってた。
You're into hip-hop?
どう思われますか、神？
Come on, he's obviously telling the truth.
神はどれくらいヒップホップに詳しいんですか？
Everything. Well, you know, they say yo after every sentence and stuff like that. As someone who's very much an ignoramus on hip-hop himself, even I know more about it than that. This is just embarrassing.
カノンちゃん、だいぶ騙されてるよ。
だよね。
Shame on you, Kyosuke. You can't even deceive properly. You are a failure of an avatar if I've ever seen one. You are my worst mistake as a divine being. The fact that you are a mistake in of itself is tragic. It sullies my divine image in the eyes of other mortals. Okay, I'm moving on now. I'm shutting up. For now.
でもあれだよね。なんか最近やたら突っ込んでくるよね。
そう思う？
What do you mean these past couple days? Hasn't it been like weeks that this has been going on now?
僕のペットについても聞
Feels
いて
like
く
it
るし。
anyway. Oh?
のんちゃんは幅広い視野を持つことにしたのです。
You finally want Kyosuke to get you a pony?
毒のあるヘビとそうでないヘビの違い、分かった？
コブラとそれ以外。
そうそう。
Are you really going to accept that answer?
面白い映画とそうでない映画の違い、分かった？
That's subjective, man! What the fuck are you going on about?
全米ナンバーワンヒットかどうか。
We're using the United States as a measuring for this? Oh, God.
そうそう。
It sounds more like narrowing your horizons. I agree.
まあ、これからも僕がいろいろ教えてあげるよ。
はい、コーチ。
Coach, again?
面白かった。
まったく、いきなり参加したいとか言うからびっくりしたよ。
I wish Asami was around to enjoy the festivities.
何してるのかなーって思ってね。
Well, we don't really do much. Just act like idiots.
じゃあ帰るね。
Although, to be fair, we could act like idiots at any time at any point of the day. Because we are idiots. We expel idiocy every time we exhale. We should be classified as a biohazard, honestly. Like level 4 biohazard. See ya. The H left.
さーて兄さん、何しよっか。
Oh, that's right. You don't have practice today.
お話ししよう。
Sure, but talk?
授業終わって夜までポケーっと教室に残ってみたかったの。
Don't you do that anyway? Looking for a bit of youthful carpe diem? I don't think I said that right. She smiles and nods.
兄さんは時間平気？
Well, I do have plans, but... not really. It's a holiday after all. But I think I'd rather spend time with Kanon.
ごめんね。ありがとう。
I want to continue to support Kanon. She made quite a few breakthroughs since the Japan Championships. She's finally become able to feel gratitude and compassion for others like a normal person. Still leaps and bounds ahead of you, I'm sure. We lounge in the empty classroom. Kanon suddenly opened the window, and a smooth January breeze rolls in.
あ、佐田さんからメール来た。
Oh?
明日ご飯行こうって。甘いもの好きだからな、あの子は。
You two are really friendly these days. That actually makes me really happy to hear.
のんちゃんに譲るとか言ってたからね、世界。
Even though she obviously can't do that.
だから、金メダル取ってこいって言っといた。そしたら次のオリンピックは3枠になるから。
With her ability, she could easily pull that off. At the moment, there are two popular female figure skaters in Japan. One is Seta Makiko, who took first in this year's Grand Prix of figure skating in the Japan Championships. The other is this carefree girl before my eyes. Are you preparing for the Olympics now?
出れればね。
So this could end up being a Pyrrhic victory for the executive cheating scumbags at that Prix. If you end up getting to compete anyway. Surely you will. If three skaters get to participate, then you've got to be one of them.
そうかな。今いろいろ議論されてるみたいだけどね。
Of course there is. Why wouldn't there be? You'll make it. Definitely.
あ、うん。
That's what Papa said anyway. Alright, that's a lie. He didn't. I was just about to say. Oh, really? He guaranteed that, huh? Yes, I made up my mind. After that day, I did everything in my power to determine the truth behind the scandal. I don't really think it's difficult to figure out the truth of the scandal here. I mean, everyone in the goddamn brink could see it. They were just basically like, this girl who is in Seda winning would kind of fuck up my corporate backroom dealings and shit. So how about this? Fuck you! That is basically what happened. I eventually learned that the sponsors backing Seda had something to do with it. Told you! However, that's not something to bother the skaters over. That kind of battle is best left to scum like me. When do you go to America? Is it the day after tomorrow? If you do go to America, make a quick detour to Maple Syrup Land and bring back some! I suddenly bring up a topic we've been avoiding in a lonely voice.
寂しくなるね。
I really wish I could go with you, but...
大丈夫だよ。お母さんがいるから。
After the incident at the Japan Championships, Ikuko-sen was apparently bedridden for a week. The cause seemed to be something mental. She was probably just worn out, and I can't say I blame her. After all, she had to purge herself of all the dirt that had accumulated within her all these years.
お母さんはただのお母さんとしてついてくるって。
I see.
でも寂しいよ。
Well, you could always just spam his phone, I'm sure. Whoa! She gives me a hug, and the sweet smell of her hair wisps up to meet me.
兄さん、何も言わないの？
Something! What?
だって今までは離れろとか言ってたじゃない。
I figure I'd let it slide, seeing as no one else is here.
だね。
Kanon silently stares at me.
のんちゃんは幸せ者だ。
She is. You are?
兄さんを独り占めにしてる。
Well, until I reset the clock, but ignore that for now. Have your moment. It's not fair. I have to share you with millions of fans.
それを言っちゃおしまいなわけだよ。
Well, he is good at that, isn't he? She puffs out her cheeks a little, and I softly kiss her lips.
バカ。兄さんはなんか上手だからムカつく。
Devilman probably has something to do with it, I'm sure. Somehow. Don't ask me how. Well, I am Yakuza. Bad Yakuza, that is. That was bad. I thought it was pretty witty, if I do say so myself. I guess she just wasn't paying attention or something. No, it was just dumb.
じゃあもっとギュってして。
As I embrace Kanon's body, she smiles happily. That smile is lovely, and I'm rushed on by the urge to spring at Kanon's body right away. Without breaking the embrace, I lower Kanon onto a desk in the empty classroom. Oh, so I guess we're getting one last little horizontal hokey pokey session.
I love the sunshine way, and I want to nail my sister. No, see, you just said it again. I like Julia Roberts movies. I just want to F the S out of my sister. Hey, Mark, you would rule. No, hey, if you'd say it's cool, I'd go pick her up at her high school. Yeah, my sister. That sister? Yeah. I thought you were talking about my older sister. I want to F my sister. Want to F her in the A. I don't know what you're saying. And just C all over her chin. Stop using I'd letters. Stick my fist in her V, and I'm moving around, then I'm moving to her A. It'd be so effing great. I'd nail her. Yeah, I want to F my sister. Stop it. What? I want to make one thing clear. I do not like Julia Roberts movies.
Very nice.
Look at that.
Hey Kanon, has anyone ever told you that your brother is a biological freak of nature? I'm not sure if I have yet, but in case I haven't, well, your brother's a biological freak of nature. Just thought you should know that. And now the time has come for her departure. We're saying a temporary farewell. After her training, she'll be right back at my side. Kanon politely greeted the reporters who came to see her off, and then raised her arm in a grandiose wave. Grandiose. A cheerful smile. The devil in Kanon's heart is no longer. This girl has finally overcome her weakness, and will surely continue to leap forward long into the future.
兄さん、じゃあね。
Yup.
ちゃんと電話するね。
You got it. A calm smile hung from the corners of my mouth.
ありがとう、兄さん。これからもいっぱいごめんなさいだよ。
Leaving me with these words, she bowed her head quietly. I just shook mine ambiguously. Kanon's battle is still far from over. This departure is a beginning rather than an end.
Bye-bye!
My sister waved energetically once more, and left. Kanon, who had been my sister only in name up until now, had become someone I couldn't live without. I returned her wave in the same fashion, bidding her farewell. Fight on, Kanon. Presentation figure skating within this game is somewhat inaccurate. Mikiondo successfully landed. Okay. Revealing the outfit Kanon wears could lead to score penalties. The sport as presented here is merely projection of figure skating into the world of G-senjou no Mao, the devil on G-string. Not surprised. Dial screen sounds a little different again. Okay, you know what? I think this is a good enough spot as any to leave things on. So what I'm going to do next time we come back is I'm going to start looking for different endings on Kanon's route and gradually make my way back to the beginning of Tsubaki's route and getting all her endings too that I completely failed to get last time. Which was pretty much every single one that wasn't her good one, frankly. And then after that, we're going to get right back to the point to where I was able to diverge onto Kanon's path and I guess continue on the main story. I don't know how long it will take. Hopefully not too long. But yeah, I'm quite curious to see how things will play out here once I reject Kanon's advances at that point in the story. See if we can get Mephistopheles to spill the beans before somebody caves his face in again. Dumb bastard. I call him dumb bastard because, well, he is kind of dumb for trusting the devil. Anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed this latest episode of The Devil on G-String. If you did and you want to enjoy more content from me, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I will see you all next time. Take care.